We are live. Welcome to
Welcome
Vendor
to
Corner.
Vendor Corner.
Welcome to Vendor Corner.
This is so cool. I'm so happy to be
Hello,
here.
everyone. Welcome to Vendor Corner. I am so extra excited for our third episode of Vendor Corner. We are here with Michael Genrich, or Genrich, right?
Genrich.
Genrich, thank you. I'm sorry about that. And my beautiful, psychic, eccentric, astrologer, loving friend, Peter Marks. I love you.
Thanks for taking time on your vacation.
Right? Taking time on your vacation. So welcome, everybody. I'm so excited that we're all here. Oh my God, we got good stuff tonight. First and foremost, Michael, who are you? Why are you here?
Oh my gosh. I have been trying to figure out how to answer that first question, who are you, for 15 years. Where I'm at now with this answer, I am a 34-year-old male, Long Island native. I care so much about creating art that is authentic to my own personality, my own spirit, and is reflective of my emotions, and is very present focused. And then also, outside of being an artist, I've had a 15-year career in human services, working with the intellectual and developmentally disabled, the special needs populations all around, mental health, developmental disabilities, and things like that. And then the umbrella for all of that, the one thing that I care most about is I've been in art therapy for 15 years as well, and that has completely shifted my personal journey, my awakening, my artistic journey, everything. And yeah, that's my answer tonight.
Okay. All right. I like, you can know someone who does the personal work on them when they usually say things like, that's my answer for Monday. Come back Thursday and I'll let you know where I'm at.
Every day is different.
Every day is different. So how long have you been an artist? Tell me that one more time.
So I consider myself a lifetime artist. I've been creating art ever since I was a little kid. My mom and my sister can attest to that. I've never literally sold a single painting. I have hundreds of pieces of work just hanging out in my bedroom. It's all in the purpose of healing and growth.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to try to explain to someone, to be like, I'm an artist, but I don't sell my work.
So February 7th, I think that you are willing to sell pieces. Is this true? Because I feel like this collection of keeping.
That's the right word. Hoarding.
So I was told by someone that there would be some art by Michael for sale at this event.
I have a couple pieces that I'd like to look through my collection and see what I am willing to let go of.
We'll just say very expensive, exclusive collection.
Well, here's a hard part about my art. I have started to work on 4 foot by 5 foot canvases and big things like that. This is I don't know, 3 by 5. So, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, they are. I think I was looking for canvases because we have the Art of Transformation class today, and we'll have a big communal canvas that's there. And it's easy. It's easy for a canvas to be $100 or $300 or $400, and then all the paint and the time and effort that goes into the art. And I think that's where people overlook what an artist is bringing to the table. It's not Marshall's or Target or Walmart who has this painting for $20 that's a mass-produced print. Mass-produced prints are so much more economical than somebody who just made something by their own heart and soul. And I was speaking to another artist that's going to be there on February 7th earlier today, saying that like the energy that we create in is the energy that gets transferred into what we offer. Literally, it is a labor of love, heart, and soul that does energetically transfer into what we create, that somebody takes home with us. When somebody takes home a piece of our art or something we make, they're bringing a piece of us home with them. And that's what makes someone who does something in the most unique way magical, really special. And for the people who appreciate that, whether it's an artist, a musician, a vendor, a creator of any kind, this is the same thing Genevieve was talking about from our first show. They're bringing home your love, and that's beautiful.
They're also bringing home the energy of the artist.
Yeah.
The energy of the artist is in that, because what artists to me and what you're doing is you are creating an atmosphere. You're giving people a message through your art. And obviously, I would say your art represents God, it represents your soul. But by looking at your artwork, it suggests to me that you're an optimist. You may get upset like most of us, but it shows optimism. It shows creativity, and it shows breaking through the shackles that you may have been born with or living with in your life. But this, to me, is a new awakening.
Yeah.
Oh, right? He just drops it on you. He's so delicious.
Drops it. Yeah, I mean, this piece specifically, this is 4 years old now. But I like to do live art, which is what I'm doing at Feast for the Soul. I am super excited for that. And I actually just did a live art tonight. For the first time, I was the sole painter. I went to the assisted living facility. Shout out Brightview, Port Jefferson Assisted Living. I got to do a live art event for them. I was the sole painter. The creative director there is a writer, so he writes about like the experience that he sees with me painting and the interaction with the crowd. And I love doing the painting. I love that experience, but I loved more the connection that I made with the crowd.
Absolutely.
10 minutes into painting, people were asking questions. They wanted to know about me, what I was painting about, why I was doing this, why I was doing that. And I was like, I would almost rather just talk to them about my painting rather than paint.
Well, there needs to be a source of inspiration somewhere.
Absolutely.
And it's about creating space. Creating space.
Now, are you a fire sign?
I'm a Sagittarius. Is that a fire sign?
That's a fire sign.
Yeah, I love how you pick it up, Peter. You're so funny.
Yeah.
Peter's like, born at 9:37 a.m. I'd say a little 9:37 a.m. in your eyebrows.
I feel like you're not off, Teresa. I feel like you're not off. But yes, I am a fire sign.
Okay.
What gave it away? Because I don't know horoscopes and astrology.
All right, what gave it away is the sun, the brightness of it. You're very colorful personality. I feel that there is a very quiet side to you and a protective side, but I feel you want to be seen, but you don't want to be jumping out at people and saying, here I am. But in your subtle way, you want people to give you recognition. Yeah, I'm just curious, what is your actual date of birth?
December 10th, 1990.
All right, December 10th, 1990, which would mean that you will do well in business once you start to let go of the feelings of anger, depression, and that you haven't made it. You are in the process of coming out to the world and saying, here I am. This is what I do. This is either accept me, or if you don't, that's your problem.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's interesting you say that.
He's
this
like
year,
sorry, I was gonna say Peter's like everybody's spiritual godfather. He's like, let me tell you, listen, Mr. 937, you with the eyebrows, Sagittarius. Let me tell you about you.
Here's your story that you didn't know about.
Here's your story.
But yeah, it's interesting you say that. This year in particular, I really want to get creative business idea I have off the ground. And with what I did today, that actually might be another avenue of income with my art that I've been considering as well. But letting go of that anger, letting go of that depression, letting go of that feeling like I'm not doing enough, specifically, that's my big one. I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
Letting go of those frees me up.
Yeah.
And there was an intention, and just to bring it back to the title of the podcast, there was an intention that I set at the beginning of the year, thanks to one of my sister's friends, Haley. She had us write down an intention on a little slip of paper and put it on a cute little thank you, Nash. Put it on a little wine bottle. So one of the intentions I wrote down is accept the reality of who I am.
Ooh, that's good.
I have to give credit to my therapist for giving me that question. Can you accept the reality of who you are?
Ooh, another great question.
I've been contemplating that for about 3 months. And Teresa, the word you used earlier before we started, the foundation, our foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I love that word. I use that word when I'm talking about myself, my history, my experiences, my feelings. It's all the foundation that I have created who I am today.
Correct.
And the more that I am able to accept and love all of the different dimensions of myself and how everything is expressed internally and externally, the freer I feel.
That's the gift of self-love entirely, because we set ourselves free from carrying the weight of not resonating. So if our high self is always standing in the place of alignment where we love ourselves and we're in unison with all the higher realms, and then we tell ourselves this lie because of whatever kind of condition or impression made on us when we're younger, we have this we walk away from the truth and into the forest of illusion, is what I call it. And there's a weight to the forest of illusion. And when we decide we don't want to carry the weight anymore, we walk out of the illusion and into the truth, and we set ourselves free from that weight. And I think the fact that you're there and you're holding space for it and you're reaching for it and you're clearing house and you're owning it every day, all of those things matter a lot. Yeah. Nash says, Phoenix and I are cheering you on from the couch. The only in gear that life that matters is forward. Keep adding your ripples to the pond. We love you, Nash. We don't know who you are yet, but we love you. Who is Nash? Let's talk about this. This is a podcast.
Yes, let's talk about Nash. Nash is I think he's the creative director of the assisted living facility that my grandmother lives in.
Oh.
He's also an amazing writer. He wrote a book. It's a memoir called Undertow, about his own life and experiences. But we connected one day at the assisted living facility. He learned I'm an artist. I learned he's a writer. We were talking about different ways we can collaborate. So twice over the past 2 months we met, and we did a creative collaboration where I did a fresh painting and he would write based on the experience that he saw me having with what I was painting and things like that. And it's incredible the way he is able to craft his words to make something as innocuous as turning a page because I felt like I was too focused on something. I needed to free myself up. I can't tell you what he wrote, but it was just it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
You have that too. Peter, I don't think you got a chance to hear what Mike wrote about us, but when I read it, it was emotional and poignant and I felt seen and understood. Can I read it? It's short. Can you mind?
Oh,
so I think that there's what did I say to you?
Is that what you sent to me earlier to read over?
I'm not sure. I send you a lot of things, but here it is. I'll just make it easy for everyone.
Go for it. If it's positive, go for it. And I'll call the news.
He He said that the whole podcast was great, except there's this guy on there. No, kidding.
Yeah.
He said, tomorrow night, for the first time, I will be a guest on a podcast hosted by @CosmicTHour999. Vendor Corner is a podcast that spotlights the vendor community on Long Island, giving the vendors a chance to show who the person is behind the table, or in my case, standing in front of an easel, and why they do what they do. I listened to the first 2 episodes, and Teresa and Peter have created a comfortable space for creatives to let down their guard enough to shine a light on the way they have grown in their work and positively impact the community. I'm a non-traditional vendor in that I don't offer items for sale. I like to vend artistic authenticity, attracting people who connect with my work. Tune in tomorrow at 7:30, and obviously we're here, but like, I appreciate that because I call this our virtual living room all the time. And I want that comfort and love to be there, because that's why, Peter, do what we do in any given situation we find ourselves in. We have an unwavering, authentic commitment to love people and do something that resonates in our soul and hold space for other people while we do it. And you know, you captured that this is a place that we want to be comfortable and inclusive and honor people. And that's why the whole podcast was created. So the fact that you saw it without us having to tell you about it was like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Work so hard.
Now, I want you to send a copy to the New York Post, the New York Times, Crane's Business Weekly, and the Globe.
I'm putting it in a frame. I'm getting his artwork next to it. So wait, before we're all sorts of beautifully in perfect alignment, my next question for you is, how did you get into art?
That was my question too.
Beat you too.
So it's like I said earlier, I've just considered myself an artist ever since I was a little kid. One of my earliest artistic memories is sitting on the steps outside of our front door, sketching my dad as he was grilling in the snow. I have another memory of writing a poem when I was 14 that was so poignantly expressed my depression that I just read it over and over and over and over again because I felt so seen, you know. But when I entered art therapy at 19, that was when my art and my creative journey really took a major shift. And I started to focus more on process, less on the product, the finished product. Learning how to incorporate my emotions in my artwork, learning which mediums are completely, which mediums are fit for certain emotions. So charcoal for me is really good if I have a really kind of a dark, if I'm in a dark place and I got to sketch something really dark, I love charcoal.
Yes.
If I'm sad, like I was today when I started my live painting, I was sad. I started with 2 splotches of blue. I sprayed some water on it and it looked like tears, you know? So that is how I look at art now. And it's just going to continue to grow and be a part of me.
Who are the masters? Are there any master artists that I know it may sound like an old cliche.
No, sorry, I'm excited. Go ahead.
That have inspired you to really take on their techniques, to incorporate their techniques with your own?
No.
No.
I am a visual artist who doesn't follow visual artists. I don't study art.
Wonderful.
My thought process behind it is, if I study and look into artists and I study their technique, I look at their work, I dig into it more, I feel like I'm just going to be replicating and not creating something fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good answer. I would accept that.
What I do have as an artistic guide is he's a famous guy, Donald Glover. You might know him.
He's awesome. He's great.
Yeah. He's extremely talented. But what I took from him more is his creative philosophy, which is basically, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want, whether or not you like it, because this is what's real for me.
Right.
And sorry for my language. I apologize.
That's all
You're
right.
an artist. I think it comes with it.
But yeah, that was a philosophy that I adopted, and I let it grow. It's blossomed.
Okay.
There is. I want to answer that, but I also want to say this out loud. We have two chats that are always going on live while we're recording, and this individual says, brings to mind the quote from Natalie Goldberg, continue under all circumstances, in regards to what Michael said about accepting the reality of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Having to, like Nash said, forward is the only year. We can move forward. We continue despite what's going on in our life. But what's important is being mindful of the speed at which we are moving forward.
Yeah. It doesn't benefit us to move fast if we don't know where we're going.
No,
Exactly.
sometimes we have to stop.
Yeah. I feel like that. I was literally just saying this to you prior to us starting, is that to me, having a accident where 30 seconds made a difference, where a little too left, a little back made a difference, having that kind of trauma, like I said, it changes the mind on like a, if you're going to look at it from like a medical evaluation or a biological evaluation, it makes the mind think differently. But for me, I like the artistic quality that can be expressed in it, because it really siphons down our value system to what's real, and pulls it down to the roots and says, well, who am I and what I really stand for? And I may not live to 100, and what am I actually living for? And am I doing everything that I really value, or could I be doing something to be more authentic? Or, what does authenticity really look like? And in a world full of bombardment of all sorts of people, places, and things and information, how do I navigate the world in an authentic space to myself? And so I am admittedly heavy in conversation for some people, but the people who are real find me refreshing, just as I find them refreshing, because we can go there and we can talk about it all. And what I like is that when you can be deep and heavy or artistic without being draining, because to talk about what's real and what's authentic with someone else, what makes you you? And for me, the answer to this question was, okay, I've seen a whole bunch of stuff happen in my life or outside my life. I could lose my spouse. I can lose my child. I could lose my home. I could lose my money. I could lose my car. I could lose my life. So like, it's such a facade, what we think we actually have ownership of. Do we have ownership of it? Yes, absolutely. But like, okay, you own the couch, you own the rug, you own the roof, you own the window, you own the stuff, but like that stuff can't come with you when you cross over. Or just like the people in Palisades, that stuff is gone now. So who are you? And there's this other gentleman that we were speaking to earlier, and he said, my house isn't out here. My house is in here. I have to make sure that everywhere I go, everywhere I walk around, that this is the house I tend to, both on the inside and the outside, because this is what home really is, or what it really means. And I was like, oh, that's good. That's some good stuff. We like
that is good.
So
that's very true.
Yeah. So when I thought on that perspective, I was like, well, I'm a practicing Buddhist, and I am a child or a derivative of Source. I am creative, and I am talented, and I am intelligent. And these are things that nobody can take away from me. This is the essence of my soul. So to me, my perspective, when we're starting at foundation, this is what I am. And if that's my value system, now I have something to stand on. So no matter where I go in life and who I talk to, who I interact with, those are my values. It's me, it's me, it's me, it's me.
Yep.
If you ask the average person today to take away their career, to take away the family, and you say, who are you? They're going to turn around and say, what do you mean? I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. That's not who we are. It's what we do.
And to add on top of that, we all recite a story about who we are, where we came from, what happened to.
That's right.
Yeah.
But at some point, and I'm going through this right now, you start to disidentify with that story. And the more space, I'll speak for myself, the more space that I am creating between the story and my experience, the more mental space there is. And the freer I feel.
That's right. It's true. And that's how you know you are on the path to truth and alignment with yourself, because you feel better. And once you get that feeling, there's nothing better than that feeling.
The only feeling better than feeling better in your own body is knowing that your journey is having a positive impact on other people. That's it. Like, I've been on my journey for so long that I have seen impacts. I have seen changes in my family's behavior and the things they're doing for themselves to take care of themselves. Shout out Andrea. I think she's listening. Doing more for themselves to care for themselves. And maybe this is my ego, but I feel pretty confident that my efforts and doing what I've been needed to do for myself, and them seeing the effort that I put in and what comes out of it, gives them the confidence to be like, oh, wow, maybe I can do this. Maybe it's possible to heal.
That's right. We're all like candles, lighting other candles, and we can't light a candle with a candle that's not lit. So the only way we have to develop some kind of life or some kind of substance within ourselves first that says, this is what I'm living for. This is what I want to do with my life. This is who I am, so that we can share it with somebody else. Because if we're empty inside, don't have anything to give, we're not helping ourselves, and we're not helping anyone else either.
Likely hurting someone else if we're in that space.
That's true too. That's definitely true too. Okay, so we know where you'd like to be. Where are you going? Now that you're willing to sell paintings, the world is an infinite place.
It's I mean, where I'm going, I would like to marry my loves of connecting with people on a real, authentic level and art. And that is what I want to do. I have been mulling over different creative businesses for 10 years or so. Things just trying to toe the line between doing art therapy and just hanging out with someone. But it's a tough line. But this year, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Now, is this in a romantic way, or is this a field of endeavor?
Field of endeavor.
All right. Definitely. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, that's a good question. Like I said earlier, I have a 15-year career in human service. I've been serving the special needs populations for a long time. That has been a constant source of reflection for me where I am on my journey. You know, that has helped me grow in innumerable ways. But that's only half of what I like. The other half is the art. I want to combine them and bring something to the community that they haven't seen.
I was in the special needs for about 15 years, working as a therapeutic mentor. And the last client that I had working with, he was 15. After my time was up in that field, I adopted him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I literally adopted him. Yeah, he's autistic. And he said to me the day I was supposed to stop seeing him, I said, I have a surprise for you. He said, what's the surprise? And I said, I'm going to continue to work with you. I'm adopting you. And he looked at me, and we talk every day on the phone.
What was his reaction?
He turned his back from me. He said, I really love you. And as far as I'm concerned, you're my dad.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, Peter, it's really beautiful.
That's just so heartfelt. Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Before, when I was working with him, when I first met him, he told me he was suicidal and he wasn't going to stay here because nobody loved him. And 6 months later, I had such a connection and bond with him that he said, I know you're going to leave me too. And I can't get too close to you because if I do, you're going to hurt me. And at the end of 3 years, I decided to adopt him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? Everyone, regardless of their ability level, they just want to be seen. They just want someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Whenever I work with someone new, my priority
Yes.
is getting to know them before I do any paperwork.
Yep.
So do you consider that your main profession is in art therapy?
No, my main profession is just care management, I guess you could say, as a care manager. Yeah, as a care manager. But I consider myself an artist. I have the heart and soul of an artist, just not the pocket of an artist.
Well, that's part of why
you have grown tremendously in this life on a spiritual level. And the guides are telling me that you've transcended a lot of souls here. Not that you're in any race to achieve anything, but they just said to me, you have an open mind to allow everything and anything to embrace it. And they just said to me, you're coming into your master self. And when they say a mastered self, it means that you've learned so much here and you've dealt with so much, but you've been able to combine your spiritual and what I consider your corporeal physical body. You've managed to merge those two. And they said to me, you're expressing this in your beautiful artwork.
Oh,
that's true. I love it. So I want to know, Michael, what are important life things that you have learned? Two-part question. One, period. What have you learned in life that is solid advice to give to other people? And two, what is solid advice that you would give to somebody who is emerging as an artist like you?
Wonderful question.
Yeah.
I only ask the best question, Peter.
You do. You do ask it. I've tried to contemplate these a little bit. I don't know how good my answer is going to be. Can you repeat the first question for me, please?
Sure. So it's a two-part question. One being, what is solid life advice that you have learned for yourself?
Okay.
Period. Just your life.
Let's
cut it.
Stop you just to keep the focus on the first one, because then I'll lose it with the second. Solid life advice. Healing from trauma is an ongoing, dedicated decision that you have to make every single day. And the more that you work with a licensed professional and the more that you explore what's out in the world, you start to learn about yourself. And the more that you learn about yourself, the more you can come into your own, feel comfortable in your own body. And my favorite thing, which happens at the end of all of that, is your perspective can shift.
That's beautiful.
What
I feel like you apply that same philosophy to your art career, but let's hear that from you, not me. What do you feel like is solid advice to give to an emerging artist?
Don't compromise your art. Always do what feels right for you. Because that's how you attract the people that's how you attract the people in your life who actually want to look at your art and learn about you and learn why you do what you do. Yeah, don't ever compromise your artistic vision.
Peter, do you have another question before I continue my interrogation? I mean, investigation. I mean, interview. No.
All right, Barbara Walters here. Okay. It's not even a question. My guides are saying to me they hope one day you will collaborate on art and on trauma and life experience into a book.
Mm.
I would love to.
Ooh.
I'd love to do that.
That feels so good on the inside.
It
They
does. It
want
feels
to see
good.
you collaborate to help the masses. And they said that they will work with you, they will channel with you. And they're saying to me they think it would end up on the New York Times bestseller list because you'd be able to share your pain with the world and the healing.
What I like too, to dovetail into that, Peter, is like if you imagine reading a book and on one side is the art piece and on the other is like the explanation or the lesson.
That's my vision.
Yes.
That's my
you
exact
just
vision.
Both of us tell you have to do it now. It has to happen. Be born. Be born. Oh, I love it, Peter. That was exciting. I feel thrilled. This is what I was telling you, Michael. It's the thrill of being alive.
Incredible. It's incredible. While I was listening to the last two interviews, Peter, I just loved when you would chime in with those spiritual guide things, and it's just gives me goosebumps. Goosebumps.
Being someone who's been able to sit in a position where you watch the first 2 episodes prior to being on yourself, what do you think were takeaways that you had about what we have here in this virtual living room?
Takeaways. Like I said earlier, you guys provide a space for artists to let down their guard, show the world who they are, why they do what they do. It's really hard for artists to let their guard down because we're a very protective bunch, and we need to make sure that our vulnerability is protected at all times. And having, thank you, Nash. Having this space, this safe space that you guys have created for people to come on, artists, vendors, whoever, show us who they are, makes more connections. That's what I took. That was my takeaway. And I have to be honest, I listened to them on my drive upstate. I didn't watch them, but I got the experience.
So you didn't get to see all Peter's beauty all at once now the way you are?
I'll have to watch it again so I can make sure to get all of that.
Blinded.
My beauty? Okay. Maybe your beauty. Oh, God.
So my next question.
Come on. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go with your little.
I feel I come on as Albert Einstein with his worst hair day.
Best hair day.
I'm going to get it fixed. But anyway, come on, Barbara. Let's go for it. Come on, Teresa.
Bring it on. I love questions. I never get enough of them.
Exactly.
Well, my last question for you, or second to last, but we have the whole podcast, is a vision for, people talk about leaving legacies, but I really like to change the world from legacy to impact. In my vision of the world is that we have a gift, multiple gifts that we come in to share and express in our time on the world. And if we're lucky enough, we're going to think in a way or feel moved in a way to decide to share what lives inside. And if we're brave enough, we're going to do it. And it's not like the world just all at once opens the door and says, here's all the permission, here's all the receptivity and joy, and like, come on in, we want it. Sometimes you have to give yourself permission to just put your foot in the door and say, know my name. And I feel like the vision for the future, we talked about you creating a book of art, and I feel that so deeply. It's going to be emotional and provocative and real and beautiful, and I am here for it. I can't wait to buy myself a copy. But what is the vision? You said earlier about connecting people and art together. Do you have a dream vision of how you want to live and the impact you want to create?
Yeah.
Vision for how I want to live and the impact I want to create. I want to live and express as much compassion and acceptance for others. Universal compassion, ideally. Keep it just really simple. Because you express universal compassion, people feel seen, people feel heard. It's important. Teaches them that compassion is important. And the impact I want to have is I want to teach people that art has no fixed definition, and that at any point in time you can pick up any single art media and put a mark on a page, and that's art. And there's no wrong art, there's no right art. And we can grow just by creating. I think that's really it. These are big questions. This particular question I haven't given a lot of thought about.
I like to ask real deep questions. I just, something about it makes me so happy inside to have conversations where we like get to know and express and share each other's guts. I think it's why it's one of the reasons I love this podcast so much. And, you know, like if it were maybe under a different title, I'd probably call it Guts, because it's like, doesn't sound so beautiful, but it's like when you, the world is so accepting of superficiality and light and surface, and this is the acceptable and this is the varnish. We are somebody underneath it. And I think, you know, so my big inspiration for creating the magazine and creating the podcast were two things, but one more than the other. I'm standing at Newfield High and I'm vending, and I overhear this conversation between two women, and this is most recent. This is just in December. I've been sitting on the podcast idea for a while now, but she was like the poof to get it going. And she was saying, you know, I used to be so stressed out about making sure I got to events like this because they only had a few. And if you value what you get from these artists, you know, you really had to boogie down and go and get your butt down there. Otherwise, you just missed it. But now I'm less stressed because they have one of these every weekend and it's all the same stuff. And I wasn't upset or angry about what she said, but it showed me with a blaring light that there's a disconnect between the vendor community, the artist community, the music community, the healer community, the wellness practitioner, the restaurateur, the small business. There's a disconnect between a couple things. One, what am I really getting from you? What is the value that we are providing? Two, the relationship between us, because you don't know who I am. So whether I make candles or I sell crystals or I sell magic beans, whatever the case is, if you think that every magic bean vendor is the same type of vendor, you don't know the person behind that table or the artist behind that easel. It's more acceptable, I think, for people to say, oh, they're an artist and that's why they're eccentric, or that's why they're weird, or that's why they're this. I grew up as an artist my whole life, and those were the labels used for me. There's that one. And before I was this level of extroverted that you see here today, I was actually incredibly shy and very introverted. And I hung out with me, myself, and me a lot of the time. And then I started to create little circles of friends or let people get surface level close. I was very observant, but I just didn't want to interact with people because I would watch the surface level stuff and be like, this is a Tuesday for me. No, thank you. But my art teacher was the one that, my music teacher, my art teacher, the guy who did, the teacher that led chorus, the teachers were the people who are more interesting to me because they had really lived life. And I was inspired by the things they offered and that they had something that they could put in my cup. I didn't really feel like when I went anywhere that my peers could put something in my cup. So to me at that time, they weren't really worth my time because they were caught up on superficial high school crap that I already had lived in such a way that I was so far out of that it was really hard for me to even reconcile stepping back into. So when you're on the outside looking in and you go like, you're worried about your jean brand, you're worried about the way your hair looks, you're worried about if this boy likes you, if that girl likes you, what you're going to eat for lunch, all these things. Like, where's the depth though? Like, why aren't you contemplating like what's going on with your soul? Don't you want to walk outside and ask God where God is today? Or like, what does that mean? Or how is that? Like, I was a weird kid, admittedly, but like, what I learned in that journey was that the fact that I was not cool and didn't care is what made me cool. And eventually, as I got more into being an adult and started to hang out with different people, and 10th grade called and like, wow, you actually have a personality. You just don't talk to anyone. Yeah. Do you want to come to this party? Do you want to come hang out over here? Yeah. Okay, I'll go. And it was in adulthood that I became more sociable because I felt like my peers and other people finally kind of caught up to the type of conversations that I wanted to enjoy as a kid.
Yeah, I relate to that experience as well. I've always been a deeper kid. Never quite felt like I fit in. The superficiality, I definitely gave in to that superficiality. Absolutely, I agree with that. It's more fun to be weird and wonderful.
I agree.
I felt like I was on the outside of a lot of my friendships, a lot of conversations that I was having. And I've had the sometimes unfortunate experience of losing friends because I am constantly on this path of change. People who were in my life in high school were no longer in my life a couple of years after high school. Someone who I was friends with for 2 years,
your relationships change because they reflect you. Exactly. And like with the relationships that are going to stick and be lifelong friendships are people that you grow with. You know, they're going to see 68 different versions of you by the time you get to a certain point in time. And they're going to have a version of them that plugs into that version of you. And you'll be able to flow.
That's great. That's well put. Yeah, I'm being very mindful about who I'm spending my time with these days. And I feel like I've created a core group of friends who see me.
That's yummy. We love that.
Yeah.
I also wanted to make a statement that somebody pointed out to me in my life. They said to me, don't listen to what a person says to you. See who they associate with as friends and mentors, because you can learn more about who somebody is, not by asking them, but see who they connect with. And then you will know what that person is like and where they are heading. And I've eliminated a lot of friendships that no longer suit me in my life. Yeah. The one person I know that I'm going to be lifetime friends with, I know, is Teresa, because we are growing together. And I also think with yourself, but I tend to feel that if you aim high and if you connect with positive people and you stay in that mind frame, you are protected. If you want to lay down with people that are not as spiritually minded, you can't blame them for what is about to happen. You've got to look within inside and decide, why am I still connected to them?
Can we break that open? I feel like that's a good conversation point. So most people like to be around positive people. Most people want to be friends with positive people. But what motivates the positive person to remain positive regardless of life circumstance? So in that question, Michael, what inspires you? What keeps you positive? And I want you to answer the same question, Peter.
What keeps me positive? I have a hard time with that question because I don't quite ascribe to positive and negative too much.
Okay, that's cool.
Everything's on a spectrum. What constantly inspires me though is nature. My nieces, connection with the people in my life who see me, who matter. Um, and yeah, yeah, I think that's my best answer I could give you right now.
Okay. Peter,
Either.
what keeps you inspired and positive?
You.
Oh, I love you.
You keep me
Um,
positive. You keep me inspired. The people that I've met through you. I also want to say this. What keeps me inspired every day is getting up and realizing that there is something greater than myself, that I
Mm,
am connected to every single person that I meet in my life, that everybody is here collectively for a sole purpose. And I think one day I'm looking forward to seeing not a quarter of the paradigm or the painting. I'd love to see the whole entire painting and to know from the entire painting exactly. I know who created me, but I am so looking forward to meeting with our Father, Mother God.
mm,
mm. Well, don't be
So,
in a rush, Peter,
my,
because I
my
want you here.
friends, yeah, well, people like Stefan, people like yourself, I also enjoy the fact that if I can make a change every day in somebody else's life and motivate them to get out of their depression and see life in a different light, that excites me. That totally
mm,
excites me. That I've had a positive impact on even a child, a smile, or walking out and seeing birds flying or seeing the sun out. It doesn't take a great deal to make me happy these days. Just this feeling that I am loved and that I'm capable of giving love back, I think says it
Hmm.
all.
I agree with you.
mm.
And Peter's wonderful. He'll go out to the grocery store and walk through the double doors of the grocery store and be like, "Hello, everyone! I hope you're all having a great day." And then
Yeah,
grabs his shopping cart and keeps going.
I love that. And
Yeah, I went into a store when I first moved up to Maine. I walked into a dollar store and I said, "Where is everybody? I want everybody to have the most amazing day." And they came running out and they go, "Who are you? Some type of nut?" And
mm,
the second time I came in, they go, "We've been waiting for you all week. We needed your energy. We want to connect with you." I said, "Here I am, here you are." And now when I walk in, they come out from behind the counter. They go, he's here. But if you can have that impact, it's wonderful. I do want to say,
yeah.
though, my energy from the time I came on this podcast has gone up about 10 notches. And I think
Mm,
it's because of the interview with Michael, and actually, I'm feeling Michael's soul and I'm feeling the creativity. And right now, by the words, and I want to say this to you because I found this out turning 70, is words are energy. And if we
mm.
use positive words every day of our lives, we will change society.
Absolutely. To bounce off of that and to connect it to Teresa's Buddhist background, thoughts
Yes.
word our thoughts, words, and actions are energy. If we are mindful of our thoughts, words, and actions as much as possible, we change ourselves and we change others.
Mm-hmm. Real
Without a
time, real
doubt.
time.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things I learned last year that I'll take with me into this year is not we a small thing that we do in the true nature of our being has such a bigger impact than we realize.
Mm.
When
Yes.
we walk out into the world, we don't see ourselves. So, Michael, you're a super talented artist. You may be able to create this beautiful picture, and someone goes, "Oh my God, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen." And you go, it's just some paint on paper. Or, Peter, you go out and you change the world with your positivity, and you go, "Oh, that was just me being in a good mood." People's greatness is so easy to overlook when it's part and parcel of who we are, that we're blind to it. Our job, or something that we should at least invest in at any point in time in our life, is being able to look inward and see value on even the small things that make us who we are, because then we don't feel the need to overgive and overcompensate or live up to this unrealistic expectation that we have to give the most to every person that we meet in order to do justice by them or do justice by ourselves. Or like, I'm a very creative 100% person. If I give you my word that I'm going to do something, you have my word, my energy, my devotion. But that's a beautiful thing, but it's also a dangerous thing, because I could easily get too absorbed into something because I want to keep my word, or I want to put the energy there, and I'll give and give and give until I don't have anything else to give. And what I realize,
it also seems like it would be easy to overextend yourself.
Yeah, and I did, and that was my lesson last year. Is it was worth it to do everything I did, but I can't afford to maintain that overextension. It's not something that's livable. I can't, it's so important to create systems in life, to create organization. There's this program that I learned called 7 Rock Life, and it takes a rock of your life, let's call it your health or your spirituality, and it's like, okay, where are you at, what's your goal, what's your action step, and it's this really beautiful system, and it's a system inside of a system to get you clear about yourself, figure out your gaps, and then instead of beat yourself up that you have a gap to begin with, recognize that you're a human being just like everybody else, and because of the way that we grew up or had conditions or whatever, that it's so natural to have a gap, and then do what you can to fill the gap, to make yourself the person that you want to be. It's not about becoming so much as it's about remembering and organizing. Right. You don't need to be great. You are great. You need to organize your approach to what you think greatness is to decide what you want to live with. There's this really great book, and he's like, he says, so many people want to look like a supermodel, but you need to accept one of two things. One, you love food and you're never going to have a supermodel body. Or two, you care about being a supermodel and you're willing to give up the diet that prevents you from having it. Either way, it's just a choice. So we are all presented every day, every week, every month, every year with choices. And to systemize those choices, last year, I had to navigate what being a coordinator looked like. And we were I was surprised. I was blindsided by certain things because I didn't imagine either certain bureaucracies or certain restrictions or certain things that I had to be accountable for. Now, knowing all of those things, I'm starting off at such a stronger, more confident point. I've got by January 4th of this year, we had our entire schedule laid out for the year, which goes against the very grain of my entire existence, because who knows what 5 minutes from now will be. But I feel so much more organized and relieved because I know how to move now. Like, it's almost like a river that has boulders in it. My river can flow because I know where my boulders are.
Yep. Yeah. You know where to send your energy when it needs to go there.
Yes. And that's a very invigorating feeling. And it's like, maybe that's something I needed to learn in life or allow to happen. But it's, we have 4 podcasts. I have 4 events a year with workshops and satellite events and co-collaborations in between. So and then I run my own full-time business in the middle of that. That's a lot of energy while still having a partner, still having a life, still trying to hit the beach once in a while and be a person. And this year is about balancing the person with all those other things, because you can love everybody as much as you want to, but when you get burnt out, you have nothing left to give anybody, and that doesn't benefit anyone either. So balance is really, really key.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the term compassion fatigue?
Oh, no, I haven't, but I love it.
that was a big term in my field for many years ago. Basically, you are overextending yourself for others and you don't have enough for yourself. That's pretty much it. And that is a really simple but difficult lesson to learn, because it involves all of the things that you just talked about: balance, time management, being mindful of your energy, where you're going to be, accepting the fact that things can change in a moment's notice, like all of these things.
Right. My business consultant, I have 3 friends, all of which do business consulting, and all 3 of them are like, when are you going to decide to give one of these things up? And the pirate child in me is like, never, I'll just organize better. They're all my children.
Yeah. I'm so thankful that I have the upcoming opportunity at Feast for the Soul to do live art, to share my art, hopefully maybe sell something, if not just make connections. And it's so cool. It's so cool.
I'm very excited for the event. It really has turned into such an immensely positive, creative hub. We have so many beautiful pieces to it that I, in part, expected and created, and then in part was surprised by. And it was like these glimmers of inspiration. It was like, we'd be navigating, putting the piece together, or navigating, because to me the entire event is an art project, and it's an art project within an art project, shared with a collaborative of artists and different perspectives of what it means to share art and have an immersive experience in creativity by almost like a room full of mirrors. What does it feel like you called me and you were like, Teresa, what's my theme for the show? And I was like, soul fulfillment. And you're like, what does that mean? And it's like, what does a great hug feel like? What does it feel like to be alive? What does it feel like to be connected? What does it feel like to eat a really great meal? What does it feel like to see a painting that inspires you to want to do something else, or to hear a song on the radio? My whole self, when I see something on the radio, I'm sorry, when I hear a song on the radio or someone's playing something, immediately I am transcended into this creative hub that's like, how are we going to express this? Like every part of, there's like 10 people that live in here. They all have a different skill set, and they're like, me. They just like go off like minions, and they're like, who's gonna be, answer the call today? And it's like, well, now that's it. Like, I got to make a pair of earrings, and I have to make a necklace, and I need to do a painting, and I got to bake bread, and I got to give 10 people a hug, and I got to make a podcast. Oh my God, where's Peter? Like, Peter, I call like 15 times a day. Peter, oh my God, I had this idea. Peter, this would be so cool. Peter, what do you think? Like, I'm just pretty sure I live in speed dial on his phone.
You guys have a good partnership there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good partnership.
What are you looking forward to most in the way that you connect to people? Because I was going to say, like, February 7th is one thing, but people in general, like, I'm very grateful and excited that you will be there February 7th. But what do you think connection means to you?
Oh, man. Connection to me is, again, feeling seen, connecting with the emotions, connecting with the experience we all have, but can't always grab or express. Whether it's positive, Peter, or negative. Some of my most painful paintings have been the ones where I had the most beautiful connections. And that is because people so struggle with their pain. And when they see something that they relate to, they're like, oh, I want to know more. And that's really what I want. That's what I want to get out of it.
When you begin your painting, what do you think characteristically is the thing that inspires you the most? To like, oh, I have to pick up a paintbrush right now and I have to just go. Like, nobody talk to me. I'll have to paint.
Sure. So there's two things happen. One of them is I will be given a complete image in my mind, and then I have to get on a canvas as quickly as possible to start that process of translating it.
Mm-hmm.
Or the second one is I have an emotion that I cannot understand, and I have to paint something right now to organize it.
I love that.
Those are my two. Got to do it.
Love it. Peter, you surprise me because you have this vast knowledge of everything. I know, like, and we were talking about this before getting onto the podcast. You, Monet, Picasso, and things that you really love about art. What do you love about art? What do you think artists bring to the world?
to me, art is a language. It is its own distinct positive language. This may sound like an oversimplification, but I really think we would have more depression in our society if art were not part of this world. I love that you can actually spiritually and intellectually, for the time that you're in front of a painting, you can become part of who that artist is at that given moment. And you can really connect with their soul on a way that the human language is very limited. And I also want to say that every time I was in Paris years ago, and I had the brilliant delight of standing in front of the Mona Lisa. And the Mona Lisa is one of the most famous paintings in the world. And I stood there and I was in such awe that literally, and I hate to admit this, I got very teary eyed because I was part of the Mona Lisa and I felt at that time the artist. And what art brings to me is the ability to forget your troubles, your anxiety, your fears, and to become one with the world.
Beautifully said.
Definitely
So I
beautiful.
don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel. It is just a magnificent way of connecting with a different form of language.
Yeah. Well, Teresa, that reminds me of your question. If you were dropped in an unfamiliar place, how would you communicate with them?
Mm-hmm.
My answer to you was, art.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a universal language. Color has no barriers.
That's right. That's right. That's a big inspiration. Like I do an annual I call it the art of transformation. And we did one in January of last year over at Gallery North, and ours will be at the Hive Market the Hive Market Gallery in February 16th. We have that on. So last year, and this is like the conversation that I've been having about the project, is I was in my Aries phase hard last year, and I was like, what if the canvas was like a fire and we just jumped around it like cave people, and we listened to ecstatic dance music when we did it, and we just threw all the paint down? And then what if we transcended it into we went from ecstatic dance music and this fiery primitive energy into a meditative space where we would have to take the same canvas and say, okay, this was my anger, this was my rage, this was all the stuff that I was holding on to that I didn't know where to put it. And now if I'm going to keep the same canvas and I have to turn this stuff into a positive or into some art that's worth keeping, this is a mirror reflection of me.
Mm-hmm.
So now it gives people the ability to be tangible and touch, experience, have an exchange with them through this canvas. And I love that. And from then till now, like one of the things that are different, because people have been asking me, like, Teresa, what is the February 16th thing? Paint Your Healing, Art of Transformation. Like, what are you talking about? And it's like, you know, those nagging thoughts that live in your head, the things that don't let go of you, or the thing that happened that you wish didn't have to happen, the barrier you had to put up even though you didn't want to, the frustration that you felt towards a situation. Some people are super good at letting things go. They forget things immediately. They live in the present, and it's beautiful. And some people hold on to things a little differently or a little more. They're sensitive, or they have trauma, and it's weird or funky to kind of come to terms with. The human psychology is not a one size fits all. Mm-hmm. But pieces that I took away from inspiration from working with my students, because I do one-on-one and I do workshops with people, was like, what about that small pain that you have as a child that just sits in the corner of your mind somewhere, living rent-free, like the dusty box, and it just has that nagging thing, like you said, I'm struggling with recognizing I am enough. What if that is not the rage? What if that's not the big emotion that you throw on the paper, like when somebody cuts you off in traffic? That's a sudden big emotion. Rah! And you just throw it down on the canvas. But what about that little pervasive child voice inside that struggles to say, I want to be enough. I want them to think I'm enough. I don't know why I'm not enough, but like it'd be nice if I was enough, but I'm not enough and it's my fault. And it's just this thing that just trails with you throughout your life, that you get a job and maybe you get into relationships and you go to school and you make friends and you go to college and you go to work and it's all there. But instead of being the child voice, we cover it up with an adult voice. And we then stack on the teenager aspect of us or the adult aspects of us that say, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm angry. I'm depressed. And the emotions, the reaction to the feeling gets bigger, louder, messier, more masculine in tone or more feminine in tone. But it doesn't change that the original voice started out with a child. So maybe your canvas is not about the big globs of paint that you can throw at it. Maybe it's about the small black square in the bottom of the canvas of the pervasive emotion that you haven't figured out what to do with it yet. Maybe it's the belief system about frustration, about wanting to live differently than you do, or the thing that you have to do that you don't really want to do. When I walk into a room, I am. I don't have that people cover that people have. I don't have one of those. I ditched it a long time ago. I walk into the room and I am Teresa and that's it. But for me, I think about sometimes when someone's behavior forces you to make a boundary. I love love. I love compassion. I love connecting to people. I love being kind. I love being a good person. I love community and I love when people get along and I love when we can share and all the great things life has to offer. I don't like when I have to put that boundary up between me and somebody else because their behavior hasn't been worked through yet and they're in the toxic stage of their development. That hurts me. I don't want to have to do that, but I also don't want to be on the receiving end of that toxic behavior. So maybe when I go and I paint this emotion out of me, maybe that's part of what I'm painting. So although it was made beautifully last year, where we treated it like a fire and we threw all of our stuff in, what this new experience gets to include is last year was 1 to 4. We did like an hour of just kind of having a discussion and a meditation and reflection. So we knew what we wanted to get out. We had an hour and a half of ecstatic, another hour or so just shy of the meditation portion of it. This goes 12 to 6. Wow. And we get to have lunch catered and we get the whole gallery to ourselves. So we just get to sit and embrace the moment. And we have an hour for anger. Throw it out, scream, yell, shout, whatever you got to do. Throw it out at that canvas. We have an hour for the awkward, underadjusted feelings, for the rage, for the sadness, for the temperament. We have the meditation. We have the sit and talk space and create community. You want to talk about it? You don't want to talk about it? You need a hug? You don't need a hug? You need more red? Whatever it is, this is a comfortable space for you to use art to express your soul. So you walk out of there with something released and something gained. That's the whole idea. So I think that the way you live your life is a lot that way. I offer it in an annual thing, maybe soon to be a bi or triannual thing, but you live that life every day.
Yeah, I do. I have to.
Yeah. When you're an artist, a creative needs to create.
Yeah.
Needs to, not wants to, needs to.
Yeah. And if we don't, we're not well.
That's right. 100%. I am so cranky when I'm not creating. I create every day. Thank God. But like,
yeah, I don't create. I don't have the creative momentum to create every day. The creative urge to me comes and goes when it pleases sometimes, when it wants, but when it comes up, it's like, hey, I'm here. You need to do this now.
Yes. And that's the best feeling. That's following the divine momentum of the experience.
Absolutely. Gotta go
Beautiful.
with it.
Yeah.
Peter, is there any questions that you have for Michael before we put an end to our beautiful episode 3?
No, I just have to say, I'm so glad and feel so blessed that Michael came onto the program, because I know more now about the eyes and the awareness of an artist than I did at the inception of the show. I just want to thank him, and I want him to keep up creating his work so we as the public can relish and enjoy your craft.
Oh man, thank you.
There's so many pieces of conversation that you and I have had, Michael, that I did not get to touch on today. The value of a piece of art in someone's home, or the more finer feelings of being at these venues, taking part in social things where, you know, did we give value? Did we get value? I mean, there's tons of stuff to pick your brain about even still. So I don't know. Maybe there's another podcast, or there's definitely another hangout. There's definitely another something, but I would highly recommend anybody and everybody who is touched by Michael's story and experience tonight to stop, grab a cup of coffee, meet us at Feast, or you know, check out his website. Oh, that reminds me, contact information. But get in touch with him and learn more, because he has a wealth of knowledge, and the way that he words things is poetic and healing. And you can definitely tell he has poured work into his own soul, and has so much wealth of wisdom and love to offer. So thank you for being here with us tonight and sharing your heart and soul and talents. And I'm super excited for the future. And thank you. Thank you for your presence.
Oh, thank you both so much. You are wonderful souls. I'm so glad to have met you, Teresa, and now you, Peter. And I'm looking forward to anything that comes up in the future with you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your life with us.
You're welcome.
I love having the bracelets on. I wear them for all the crystal love, but like, it really doubles as an instrument. It works out.
Yeah, it's like a maraca on your wrist. That's awesome.
I don't know. That is episode 3 of Vendor Corner. Thank you for spending the night with us. We love you, and we will see you next week. Bye,
guys.
We can't say goodbye without knowing how to get in touch with you.
My website is www.michael-genrich.com. My Instagram handle is Michael_Genrich_art. And Facebook, Michael Anthony. Search me up. And if you see me at any live art gigs and I'm painting, please tap me on the shoulder, ask me a question, come talk to me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody. We hope you have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.